you are informed.
Throughout the series, Kratos is portrayed as an anti-hero, often performing questionable actions, although his backstory is seen in the original God of War. Kratos' childhood is revealed in Ghost of Sparta, and the birth of his daughter is explored in the God of War comic series 2010-11. In Ghost of Sparta, it is revealed that the Oracle had foretold that the demise of Olympus would not happen by the hands of the Titans imprisoned after the Great War, but rather by a mortal, a marked warrior, the Olympian Zeus, Athena, and Ares believed this warrior to be Deimos, Kratos' younger brother, who had a strange birthmark. Ares and Athena interrupted the childhood training of Kratos and Deimos in Sparta and kidnapped Deimos. Kratos attempted to stop Ares, but Ares swept him aside and scarred him across his right eye. Taken to Death's domain, Deimos was imprisoned and tortured for many years by the god of death, Thanatos. Believing Deimos to be dead, Kratos marked himself with a red tattoo, identical to his brother's birthmark, to honor his brother. Through flashbacks in the comic series 21011, written by Marv Wolfman, Kratos meets his wife Lysandra, and they have a daughter named Calliope. Upon birth, Calliope was stricken with the plague. In order to save his daughter, Kratos was granted a quest to find the ambrosia of Asclepius, an elixir with magical healing properties. 5 of the gods entered into a wager with Ares. Each chose a champion to search for the ambrosia, with Ares' champion being Kratos. Kratos overcame all obstacles, including, among others, Hades' champion, the barbarian Prince Ulrich, who eventually became the barbarian king. And thus Kratos saved his daughter. Via flashbacks in God of War, it is revealed that Kratos became the youngest captain of Sparta's army, also shown in the 2010-11 comic series, but had a thirst for power. When Kratos was faced with total defeat at the hands of a barbarian horde led by the barbarian king, the Spartan called to the Olympian god Ares for aid. Kratos was given the Blades of Chaos, destroyed his enemies, and blindly followed Ares, killing hundreds in his name. After Ares tricked Kratos into murdering his wife Lysandra and daughter Calliope in a temple dedicated to Athena, the Spartan was shocked out of his bloodlust and renounced service to Ares. As the temple burned, a village oracle cursed Kratos and condemned him to wear the mark of his terrible deed, the ashes of his family, which turned his skin pale white, earning him the title Ghost of Sparta. In Ascension, it is revealed that because Kratos renounced Ares and broke his blood oath to the god, Kratos was imprisoned and tortured by the 3 Furies. He is helped by the Oathkeeper Orcos, and eventually overcomes and kills the Furies. In order to completely be free of Ares' oath, Kratos is forced to kill Orcos, who begs Kratos to do so. Although free of his oath to the god, he is flooded with memories of killing his family. He then vows to serve the other gods, in order to receive forgiveness and relief from the nightmares of his past deeds. But he is openly defiant. In Chains of Olympus, Kratos is reluctant to help the gods when Helios is kidnapped and openly abandons them. When Persephone offers him a chance to be reunited with his daughter, Kratos, however, was forced to reverse his decision when Persephone used the Titan Atlas in a bid to destroy the world and in turn, the spirit of Calliope. Knowing that while intervention would save Calliope, it would separate him from his family forever, a bitter Kratos kills Persephone, imprisons Atlas, and frees Helios. The comic series 2010-11 also shows Kratos' present search for the ambrosia of Asclepius. This time, he plans to destroy the ambrosia to prevent the worshippers of Ares from resurrecting their former master. In this quest, Kratos overcame several enemies, including the Chaos Giant Gyges, before destroying the ambrosia. Still haunted by the visions of his mortal past in Ghost of Sparta, and against the advice of Athena, Kratos embarked on a quest to find his mother, Callisto, in the city of Atlantis. Callisto attempts to reveal the identity of Kratos' father, before being transformed against her will into a beast that Kratos is forced to kill, before dying. Callisto advised Kratos to search for his brother Deimos in Sparta. Kratos first freed the Titan Thera from imprisonment, which caused the destruction of Atlantis, earning him the wrath of Poseidon in Sparta. Kratos learned of Deimos' location, the domain of death. He found and freed Deimos, who remained hostile toward his brother. After a skirmish between the siblings, Thanatos attacked Deimos, but after being rescued by Kratos, the pair joined forces to battle their foe. At this point, Thanatos realizes ours, Athena, and Zeus chose the wrong Spartan. It was Kratos who should have been taken, the mark being his red tattoo and his skin turned white from his family's ashes. Although Thanatos kills Deimos, the god is in turn killed by Kratos. Kratos then returns to Olympus, enraged at the gods, in betrayal. Kratos has been shunned by the other gods and decides to lead his Spartan army to overrun Greece. Kratos then joined the Spartan army in Rhodes, intent on destruction. Zeus, however, weakens Kratos and tricks him into abandoning his godly powers into the Blade of Olympus, which Zeus uses to kill him, although he overcame all obstacles. Kratos was stunned at Zeus's betrayal and swore revenge as he died. Kratos fell into the underworld, but was rescued by Gaia, banished to Tartarus with the other surviving Titans after the First Great War. Gaia and her brethren seek the death of Zeus. Kratos, fueled by anger at his betrayal, agreed to aid the Titans and was instructed to find the Sisters of Fate, who were capable of returning him to the moment of Zeus' treachery. Kratos becomes determined and utterly ruthless in the pursuit of his goal. He wounds a Titan, kills several Greek heroes without hesitation, and deliberately sacrifices to scholars, restoring his god powers. All three of the Sisters of Fate are killed when they oppose Kratos, who is prepared to kill Zeus in a final confrontation. Although Kratos kills Poseidon, he is abandoned by Gaia when his first encounter with Zeus goes poorly. Stranded in the underworld and now betrayed by both the Olympians and Titans, Kratos learned from the spirit of Athena, who also provided the Blades of Exile, that he needed to find the Flame of Olympus, which is the key to defeating Zeus. Kratos murders both Titans and gods, ignoring the warnings of his victims as he seeks the flame. Realizing the key to pacifying the flame and reaching Pandora's box engulfed by the flame is Pandora herself, Kratos came to care for Pandora, who reminded him of his lost daughter Calliope. Kratos shows humanity when he attempts to stop Pandora from sacrificing herself to quench the flame, but reluctantly allows the act when she says there is no other option, ultimately being provoked into doing so by Zeus after the latter states that Kratos would fail her, like he failed his own family, causing Kratos to let her go and attack Zeus in a fit of rage. Finding the box empty and driven berserk by Zeus's mockery, Kratos engages his father in another fierce battle. Although Gaia interrupts and tries to kill Kratos and Zeus, she is destroyed by Kratos, who then apparently defeats Zeus. Zeus returned in spirit form and attacked Kratos, who retreated into his psyche. Kratos forgave himself for his past sins with the help of Pandora. Pandora later appeared and told Kratos that hope would save him. Kratos was revived and easily destroyed Zeus. Athena confronted Kratos and demanded that he return the power of hope, the contents of Pandora's box. In a selfless act, Kratos refused, stated his need for vengeance was gone, and impaled himself with the Blade of Olympus, which dispersed the power across the world for mankind's use. Athena, disappointed with Kratos, removed the blade and departed as Kratos collapsed next to the Blade of Olympus. The post-credits scene showed a trail of blood leading away from the blade, with Kratos' whereabouts unknown. Many years after the events of God of War 3, Kratos, having survived his apparent death from releasing the power of hope in Greece, ends up in ancient Scandinavia in the Norse realm of Midgard, and fathers a young son named Atreus, who is unaware of his true nature. Kratos has abandoned his double-chain blades as a symbolism of abandoning his old persona. Instead, he uses a battle axe called the Leviathan axe that originally belonged to his second wife and Atreus' mother, Mafi called Faye by Kratos, who recently passed. Her last wish was for her ashes to be spread at the highest peak of the 9 realms, at Midgard's peak. They learn from Mimir that the highest peak is actually in Jotunheim. Along their journey, they are confronted by the Aesir god Baldur, the brother of Thor, whose sons Modi and Magni assist their uncle but are killed by Kratos and Atreus. Around this time, Atreus falls ill. To cure him, Kratos must recover his old weapons, the Blades of Chaos, in order to battle the beings of Helheim, as the Leviathan axe is useless there as it inflicts frost damage. While retrieving the blades, Athena appears and goads him about his past. Kratos journeys to Hell and retrieves the cure by killing the troll that guards the realm. After curing him, Kratos reveals to Atreus that he is a god. The pair also receives assistance from a witch, later revealed to be the Vanir goddess Freya, the mother of Baldur, who had cast a spell of immortality on him that protects him, but also causes him to no longer feel anything physically, which he resented her for. Kratos and Baldur eventually battle, during which Baldur's spell is broken. Kratos decides to let Baldur go, but Baldur attempts to kill Freya, forcing Kratos to kill him. Freya swears revenge against Kratos for killing her son, and taunts Kratos for not revealing his troubled past to Atreus. Kratos decides to tell Atreus that he has killed his fellow Greek gods, including his father Zeus, whose illusion he saw in Helheim, but that he and Atreus should learn from these experiences and not repeat past mistakes. The two then make their way to Jotunheim, where it is learned that Faye was actually a giant, also making Atreus part giant. It is also revealed that Faye originally wanted to name their son Loki, but Kratos preferred Atreus, which was the name of an honorable Spartan comrade. The giants also referred to Kratos as Farbauti. In Midgard, Fimbulwinter begins, and after sleeping in the family home, Atreus has a vision that Thor will come for them at the end of Fimbulwinter. 3 years after the events of the previous game, Kratos, Atreus, and Mimir are confronted by the Allfather, Odin, and the god of thunder, Thor, toward the end of Fimbulwinter. After dueling Thor, Kratos, Atreus, and Mimir set out on a journey across the 9 realms in hopes of finding a way to prevent Ragnarok. Along the way, they are confronted by a vengeful Freya, but they eventually make amends, and able to prevent Ragnarok, Kratos, Atreus, and their allies unite the realms in a war against Asgard. Kratos battles Thor once again, but Thor is killed by Odin for refusing to kill Kratos. Atreus, Mimir, and Freya then engage Odin in battle and defeat the Allfather as Asgard is destroyed. Returning home to Midgard, Atreus, as Loki, decides that he needs to go and find any remaining giants and bids a heartfelt farewell, while Kratos learns that he is destined to become a revered god, and along with Freya and Mimir, begins rebuilding the realms and restore peace. Now, I will tell you the true story of Kratos in Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, Kratos, also known as Kratos or Kratos, is the divine personification of strength. He is the son of Pallas and Styx. Kratos and his siblings Nike, Victory, Force, and Zealous Glory are all the personification of a specific trait. Kratos is first mentioned alongside his siblings in Hesiod's Theogony. According to Hesiod, Kratos and his siblings dwell with Zeus because their mother Styx came to him first to request a position in his regime. So, he honored her and her children with exalted positions. Kratos and his sister Bia are best known for their appearance in the opening scene of Aeschylus' Prometheus Bound, acting as agents of Zeus. They lead the captive titan Prometheus on stage. Kratos compels the mild-mannered blacksmith god Hephaestus to chain Prometheus to a rock as punishment for his theft of fire. Kratos is characterized as brutal and merciless, repeatedly mocking both Hephaestus and Prometheus, and advocating for the use of unnecessary violence. He defends Zeus' oppressive rule and predicts that Prometheus will never escape his bonds. Aeschylus' libation bearers, Electra calls upon Kratos, Dike Justice, and Zeus to aid her brother Orestes in avenging the murder of their father Agamemnon. Kratos and Bia appear in a late 5th century BC red figuratic Skyphos of the Punishment of Ixion, possibly based on a scene from a lost tragedy by Euripides. They also appear in late 18th and 19th century romantic depictions and adaptations of The Binding of Prometheus. In the preface to Fabulae by Gaius Julius Hyginus, Kratos is given the Roman name Potestas. Kratos and his siblings are first mentioned in the Theogony, which was composed by the Boeotian poet Hesiod in the late 8th or early 7th century BC. Hesiod states, "And Styx, the daughter of Ocean, was joined to Pallas, and bore zealous emulation and tremankled Nike victory in the house. Also she brought forth Kratos' strength and Bia force. Wonderful children. These have no house apart from Zeus, nor any dwelling nor path except that wherein God leads them. But they dwell always with Zeus the loud thunderer." Here Kratos is merely listed as a deified abstraction with little development or explanation. Hesiod goes on to explain that the reason why the children of Styx were allowed to dwell with Zeus was because Zeus had decreed after the Titanomachy that all those who had not held offices under Kronos would be given positions in his regime. Because Styx came to Zeus first, along with her children, Zeus honored them as among the highest members of his new regime. According to Diana Burton, Styx, Zelos, Nike, Kratos, and by his voluntary change in allegiance represents the certainty of Zeus' victory over the Titans. 10. While the goddesses dike justice, Eunomia good law, and Irene peace represent the benefits of Zeus' reign, Kratos and his siblings represent the work needed to build that regime. In the opening scene of the tragedy Prometheus Bound, which is traditionally attributed to Aeschylus, Kratos and his sister Bia are taking Prometheus to a remote location in the Scythian wilderness, where he will be chained to a rocky outcropping. The order to do this was given by Zeus himself, and Kratos and Bia are portrayed as the embodiment of Zeus' new regime. The presence of Kratos and Bia but absence of Nike and Zelos indicates the play's tyrannical portrayal of Zeus. Since Kratos and Bia represent the more tyrannical aspects of authority, Kratos in particular represents what Ian Ruffle calls the kind of uncomplicated thug for whom despotic regimes offer countless job opportunities. He enforces the power of Zeus through physical brutality and pitilessness. Bia, though present in the scene, does not have any lines, only Kratos speaks. Kratos courses the mild-mannered blacksmith god Hephaestus into chaining Prometheus to the rocky crag, despite Hephaestus' objections to this. Hephaestus laments over Prometheus' future suffering, leading Kratos to ridicule him. Kratos equates the rule of law with rule by fear and condemns pity as a pointless waste of time. Hephaestus and Kratos agree that Zeus is oppressive berries, literally heavy. Kratos regards justice delta kappa eta Dika as a system of cosmic hierarchy in which the monarch, Zeus, decides who receives which privileges and who does not. Anyone who breaches this social divide is a transgressor who must be punished. Kratos states that, under the rule of a monarch such as Zeus, no one but Zeus himself is truly free. Hephaestus agrees with this assessment. Kratos repeatedly orders Hephaestus to use more violence than necessary to inflict as much pain as possible against Prometheus. First he orders Hephaestus to nail Prometheus' hands to the rock. Then he orders him to drive a steel wedge through his chest. Finally, he orders him to tie Prometheus' legs to immobilize him. Hephaestus criticizes Kratos, telling him that his speech is as ugly as his physical appearance. Kratos responds by telling him, "Be soft. Do not throw in my face my willfulness and roughness of temper." Once Prometheus has been bound, Hephaestus, Bia, and Kratos exit off stage, with Kratos being the last one to leave. Just before his exit, Kratos mocks Prometheus, saying that he will never escape from his shackles and that he does not deserve his name. Prometheus means forethought in Greek. According to Robert Holmes Beck, Aeschylus' depiction of the harsh punishment of Prometheus was intended as an example of how wrongdoers must be punished. to deter others from transgressing. In this interpretation, Kratos' cruelty is not intended to be viewed as excessive, but rather as the proper enforcement of justice. Kratos repeatedly orders Hephaestus to use more violence than necessary to inflict as much pain as possible against Prometheus. First, he orders Hephaestus to nail Prometheus' hands to the rock. Then he orders him to drive a steel wedge through his chest. Finally, he orders him to tie Prometheus' legs to immobilize him. Hephaestus criticizes Kratos, telling him that his speech is as ugly as his physical appearance. Kratos responds by telling him, "Be soft. Do not throw in my face my willfulness and roughness of temper." Once Prometheus has been bound, Hephaestus, Bia, and Kratos exit off stage, with Kratos being the last one to leave. Just before his exit, Kratos mocks Prometheus, saying that he will never escape from his shackles and that he does not deserve his name. Prometheus means forethought in Greek. According to Robert Holmes Beck, Aeschylus' depiction of the harsh punishment of Prometheus was intended as an example of how wrongdoers must be punished to deter others from transgressing. In this interpretation, Kratos' cruelty is not intended to be viewed as excessive, but rather as the proper enforcement of justice. In Aeschylus' Libation Bearers, Electra invokes Kratos, Dike, and Zeus to support her and her brother Orestes' quest to avenge the murder of their father Agamemnon by their mother Clytemnestra. Plato's dialogue Protagoras, written in the 4th century BC, includes an account of the legend of Prometheus, in which Prometheus stole fire from the temple of Athena and Hephaestus rather than the citadel of Zeus because the guards of Zeus. Depictions of Kratos and Bia in ancient Greek art are extremely rare. The only known surviving depiction of Kratos and Bia in ancient Greek pottery is on a fragmentary red figure Skyphos by the Media's painter or a member of his circle that is dated to the end of the 5th century BC and depicts the punishment of Ixion. The vase is in the private collection of Herbert Ken in Basel, Switzerland, and only a bit of hair belonging to Kratos is still visible on the remaining fragments. One of Bia's hands is visible on the wheel that Ixion is bound to. Steadying it, H. Shapiro conjectures that this is probably a representation of a scene from the lost tragedy Ixion by Euripides, who likely borrowed the figures of Kratos and Bia from Prometheus Bound. Kratos is listed as one of the sons of Pallas and Styx in the library of Pseudo-Apollodorus in Gabriel Faur's 3-act opera Prométhée, first performed in 1900 with a French libretto written by the poets Jean Lorrain and André Ferdinand Harold. The scene from the beginning of Prometheus Bound in which Kratos coerces Hephaestus into binding Prometheus is closely paraphrased. Hephaestus' dialogue with Kratos is set to music containing impressionist allusions to the whole tone scale, for was known for his soft, genteel chamber music and the hateful fury of the music behind Kratos, and by his dialogue stunned audiences. A character named Kratos appears in the God of War video game franchise, the first 7 games of which are based on Greek mythology. The character is portrayed as what classical scholar Sylwia Chmielewski calls a deeply tragic, Herculean anti-hero who, after murdering his family, has to wash away the miasma to regain his peace of mind. The video game character Kratos was given his name at a late stage in the development of the original 2005 game, after the character had already been fleshed out. Unaware of the actual mythological god named Kratos appearing in Prometheus Bound, the creators coincidentally chose the name Kratos, the same Greek word meaning strength, of which the mythological figure Kratos is the personification. Stikas Musson, the director of 2010's God of War 3, called the naming coincidence a happy mistake, noting that the Kratos in the game and the one in Prometheus Bound are both poems. Zornio Vanovici of California State University, Long Beach observed with irony that, while the mythological Kratos is best known for chaining Prometheus in 2007's God of War 2, the video game character releases him. Chmielewski states that the video game character Kratos draws extensively on other figures from Greek mythology, including the heroes Perseus, Theseus, and Achilles, but his strongest influence is the hero Heracles. The Greek-based games portray Kratos as brutal and violent towards innocents. In God of War 3, he destroys the vast majority of the Greek gods, who are portrayed as corrupted and vengeful, and restores the original state of primordial chaos to Greece.
You are informed.